Live tonight from the virtual Phoenix Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series powered by Boosted Championship 4 finale. And happy that you're with us on RaceSpotTV for the 30th and final time in this 2020 campaign. We're, as always, with our producer, Hugo Luis. My name is Evan Pasoko. Happy to be joined by Dylan Coyle on the call once more. And Dylan, we have gone through now 3 excruciating rounds of playoff racing. We've willed the field that was 116 cars strong down to 4 in a thrilling finish last week in Martinsville. It'll see the likes of Andrew Friedage. You got Daniel Epperhart, Dylan Jones, and Michael Araya try to beat the other 3 in order to become the 2020 Full Throttle Cup champion.
And I mean, if we're talking about some familiar names, we've got Jones, Friedage. They've been in the Final Four the last 4 consecutive seasons. Obviously, Friedage, the first 2-time winner, the first to win twice consecutively. He has the opportunity to become the first to win 3 in a row and set himself ways away from everybody else who has raced in this series in years past. Obviously, Daniel Epperhart, a Stonewall veteran of the series, is making his 2nd appearance in the Final Four, has an opportunity to win his first championship. And the hotshot rookie, Michael Araya, well, he could be the first rookie in modern times since the series started back in 2012 to etch his name onto the championship trophy. And you know what? I think he's got as good of a shot as any of them. But you were talking about that Martinsville finish, and Dylan Jones, well, he might be kicking himself after that one, Evan.
Yeah, he had an opportunity not only to lock himself in with a win, but most importantly, to keep Andrew Friedage out. Of course, with the poor start to the round of 8, Andrew was in a must-win position. It was a race lead in 3 and 4 on the white flag lap. Dylan Jones left the bottom open, got a little bit sideways. Andrew Friedage goes on and wins the race. At that point, we're thinking, not only did Jones let Friedage in, he may have lost it for himself. He gets the 1 spot available on points, gets it by just 2. So obviously, Andrew's the favorite, top of the charts all night tonight so far in practice. But you talk about those other guys. Michael Araya, for a lot of this season, led the regular season to points. As we take a look at how those points ended out of the round of 8, you see Trudell just missing the cut. If that last lap pass between Friedage and Jones never happened, Friedage would have been out. Trudell would be fighting for a championship here tonight. But Araya led the points for much of this season, Dylan, despite, I quote, only 3 race wins. Not saying much, but, you know, we've definitely seen Friedage. Exactly. But last year, you know, Friedage was winning double-digit number in race wins. He's still got 7 out of 29 thus far. It's an incredible stat. But Daniel Epperhart has really come to the plate. You talk about Dylan Jones having been there so many times with another opportunity. These guys have plenty of motivation to dethrone the 88.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we want to talk about Araya, the name of the game for him, it's been consistency. 22 top 10s, tops everybody in the championship this season. So there's no question that he is going to be a threat in this Final Four. Trudell, as you see from the standings, he missed by 2 points. Dylan Jones almost pulled a Jimmy Johnson at the Roval in 2018 and could have really upset himself and his fan base by missing it off of his own mistake. But thankfully, that 2-point cushion, it was enough to put him into this Final Four. And Andrew Friedage, not only is he the favorite because he pretty much is the first ballot Hall of Fame spokesperson for this league over the years, well, he's also won the last 3 Phoenix races. So it's kind of, you know, it's going to be his championship to lose. He's currently sitting at top of the qualifying leaderboards by quite a few tenths.
And thought maybe that this changed to Phoenix. Of course, we're still on the 2012 version, so the Don reconfigured one, and I promise you I'll probably confuse the front and the back stretch at some point here over the course of this race. Thought that maybe that would be an opportunity for somebody else to get in, because obviously Friedage has gotten the championship under this existing format for the last 2 years, in 2018 and 19. Both years, by the way, not to get ahead of ourselves, in which he's won RSR Winter Series championships as well. So thinking, hey, maybe a change of scenery will give give some other drivers an advantage. Of course, it goes to a racetrack that he's really good at. He's good at all of them. All these drivers looking to join the likes of Fridaj and other past RSR champions. David Comstock, Scott Eckridge, Dwayne Vincent, Eric Brundage, Chad Cole, and Landon Huffman are the drivers that have done it in the past. Do we get a first-time champion here tonight? Practice, qualifying down. Let's go trackside for the final time this year and take a look at your Full Throttle Cup starting grid. And your Championship 4 highlighted in the red, and no surprise here. Fridaj on pole, Dylan Jones second, Daniel Everhart rolls from the number 3 spot, and then it is Joseph Tice sneaking in ahead of Michael Laraya Dylan, who starts in 5th.
Yeah, he's splitting up the championship for a little bit. Not to worry, though, too much. Kyle Kammer is starting in P6. Jeremy Miller, Jared Mogard is in row number 4, followed by Sam Nieto, Liam Sheen, Dave Washington, Kyle Trudell. And if we keep going further back, everyone is starting to separate by more than just a 10th, I guess you could say, as the grid continues back here with Brian Chambliss, Thomas George, Scott McClendon, Grant Davis in P16, Ross Caddo, Sean Callis, Matthew Mara, Tom Morano, Michael Kaczynski, and then the drivers who didn't make any qualifying times, as we'll see on the grid, is Eric Stanford, Bradley Burke, Steve Durham, and Steve Soa. The pace car goes right on top of our beautifully paced camera, and we are so close to getting this season finale underway, Evan.
First time we will crown an RSR champion here at Phoenix Raceway. It is not a short track in technical terms, but at just over a mile in length, it certainly races like one. Real flat 3 and 4, which of course is now 1 and 2. That's going to be something to watch as these drivers navigate as well. One of the longer races of the season as we go racing for half the distance of the Cup Series finale at 156 laps here tonight on RaceSpotTV. The pace car going to dive down at the safety of the pit lane, and we'll say it one final time. For 2020, the field in the hands of the championship favorite at Andrew Fridaj. Let's go championship racing at Phoenix. Already using the open dog leg of the back straightaway, going to be side by side for second. The 90 of Eberhardt trying to squeeze to the inside of the 11, but Dylan Jones maintains. That's lap number 1 in the books.
Yeah, and let's remember, this is the old setup of Phoenix International Raceway. Back when it was still ISM Raceway, the start-finish line, well, it's on the old straightaway. You'd see the stands taken out if this were completely modernized, but nonetheless, Andrew Fridaj coming out of turn 4. He's got the lead by a car length over Dylan Jones, Daniel Eberhardt, Michael Laraya. All the Championship 4 drivers are clean out in front.
Likely going to be the only time that an RSR championship is decided on this version of Phoenix. Obviously, iRacing planned on scanning to update to the new racetrack over COVID travel restrictions and the difficulties of making that work logistically and safely wasn't able to happen this year. So the chances are, with Phoenix being planned as the championship race next year, we're on the new configuration of Phoenix by then. The track itself doesn't really change at all, as somebody is upside down.
Oh, boy!
In the back of the pack, it was Michael Kaczynski, who was up and in the air after he got sideways and about skewered himself on the pit road wall. There is no caution, but what a strange incident. Check this out.
Yeah, we'll check out the replay right here, and he's coming out of turn 3. He looks to be all by himself and just gets loose. And then just hits the barrier head on. It's a beautiful, I'd say that's a 720 if we're talking about horizontal flipping.
took the landing, but I know that's not what he wanted to go for, and because he was on pit road, there is no yellow. So the car's on track, unbothered. You're watching the battle for the best of the rest, because your championship cars, as you mentioned, first, second, third, and fourth, proving that they are the best of the best to make it here to this championship. So looking at the group from Joseph Tice on back, as the 27 of Jeremy Miller, P6. He's in the middle of the battle. Mogard behind him, going to go way to the inside and try to cut an advantage down to the bottom. Wasn't able to do so. Also a little bit further back in the running order, I did want to give a call to Sean Kalis. Did so a couple of weeks ago, but he won the RealSimRacing Outlaw Truck Series Championship this year. Getting that season wrapped up a couple of weeks back right here at Phoenix in a night race. So a track that he's familiar with as he runs B21.
Yeah, we'll make sure to talk about it as there's a car spinning right in front. Doesn't look like there's going to be a caution.
Stanford.
Yeah, Eric Stanford got loose. He probably scraped the wall. We'll catch a replay right here. But he's okay. He's going to carry on. And yeah, we'll check out this replay here, Evan.
Well, a self-spin in turn 4, and now a self-spin in turn 1. I mean, it just goes to show you how tricky Phoenix Raceway is. And if a yellow flag is in the air, the two near misses, there's smoke, and it's Jeremy Miller. He was running in position number 6, and I think he had some assistance. Let's take a look with the replay and ride on board.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely had some help right there, and we'll catch the replay. Has him right behind, trying to see exactly who that was, though, and it's pretty clear with Jeremy Miller getting bumped out. I don't know if Miller knew that he was there. I'd like to see a replay on board just to see it one more time. And, Evan, what's your view of the incident?
Well, Jared Mogard has claimed responsibility for the incident, so at least in his mind, he feels like that he was given enough room by Jeremy, and I think that, Jeremy wasn't going out of his way to give him more space than he needed. Let's watch. AC right there. I mean, it's tough to tell just from the
it's a racing.
It looked like the rear end of the car was going out a little bit on Mogard, and as he tried to catch it, he just had to step up the hill those couple feet and really wasn't any room to clear the 27. A small tap. Here's the overhead look. You see the rear end of that car stepped out and just a touch hooks the 27.
I mean, you can blame it 55% on Mogard, but when you're at that level, it's a racing incident. Hopefully, it's all good for Jeremy E. Miller. Doesn't have too much damage on that car. He'll be able to get it fixed. Might not even go a lap down if he's continuously going into the pits. But I will say, on a track like Phoenix, it's very likely to eat the tires up. And if you don't have some fresh rubber, you've got some flat spots. Not necessarily flat spots, obviously, but with just skidding across the asphalt, you're going to lose some of the rubber, and that's going to lead to slower times overall on top of the damage. So it's just something to think about with tire sets and all that. It looks like Mogard might be going down pit lane right now as well. So I think that's is that to serve a penalty?
He's going to get the EOL penalty for causing the yellow since he claimed it, so he figures might as well come down to the pit road. I don't think it's going to be for tires, maybe just checking to see if he has any optional repairs, but the right side of that iBuyPower Chevy looks pretty good, but he was going to go to the rear anyways, so he came down pit road. Also saw, obviously no surprise, that a pit stop came from Jeremy Miller. His car didn't look that bad either, and Eric Stanford was in. But these drivers are limited to 3 additional sets of tires. So yeah, he's just going to kind of park it down there on pit road and just let everybody go by since he knows that penalty's coming when the lights go out on the pace car.
Right, and that is the question, though, for Jeremy Miller. With there only being those 3 additional sets, then you kind of you don't want to take away strategy that you could potentially have later in the event. Now, if I'm Miller, I'm not necessarily worrying about everything that's going on with trying to catch up right now, but I will say this: with Miller not having fresh tires and having damage, just don't worry about getting more tires right now. You're not going to be at pace with the rest of the lead lap cars, so shouldn't be too much of an issue, Evan.
And the lights go on top of the pace car. I mentioned that it was a little bit of a longer race. That's just percentage-wise. 156 laps, nothing out of the ordinary. Talking about when we raced here last year in a non-championship race, it was 150 laps. But most of these races are in the 40% ballpark compared to the length of the NASCAR Cup Series races. And this one exactly at half distance of Sunday's 312-lap season finale 500 at Phoenix. So just a little bit of a step up, maybe an extra opportunity to try to work some strategy in as this battle for the championship rages on. So it'll be our first restart to put lap number 12 behind us. Your championship 4 still run first, second, third, and fourth with an opportunity here for Frinage to control the restart. He chooses the inside of the front row.
A very good start for Andrew Frinage. He cuts off Eberhardt and will have a good line coming out of turn 2 into this dog leg. We'll see everybody fan out here. There's almost no advantage you get at any specific spot right there, but it does make for some spectacular four-wide at times racing. As we see back in the field, they're bunched up, but as we've seen so far in this race, it's the top 4, the championship 4, already making moves to get away from the rest of the pack.
And it's interesting because we see that over the weekend right in the NASCAR Cup Series. It feels like it's an annual thing. But at least on that side of things, you can say, okay, well, the teams, kind of put some extra resources, built a brand new car, used every little bit of gray space in the rule book, right? The typical things you would expect. At least here in iRacing and in the Full Throttle Cup Series with a fixed setup, it's just down to practice, right?
Exactly.
It goes to show that those 4 are the best drivers. They've worked their way to this point, and it also goes to show that I think they put a lot of practice in over the course of the last week. Your championship 4 drivers representing 17 race wins of the 29 races completed thus far, at least up at the front of the field. It looks like their top 2 try to pull away just a little bit as Eberhardt trails for Frinage.
Yeah, Eberhardt still holding back. Like you said, the top 2 have broken away. It's a long race, so we're going to have a lot of these little spurts. But David Washington has pulled to the back of Dylan Jones quite closely here and might have to face some competition from him. Everyone is pretty much single file except going back to around 12th place. Scott McClendon is trying to go down the inside of, it appears to be Kyle Kammer, who is losing some positions right here. Sam Nieto leapfrogged Kammer, and it looks like McClendon is going to have to just stay back a little bit. Thomas George also leapfrogged him there.
Mid-pack, I think, is one of the best places. I mean, I'm a big fan of Phoenix. I know that a lot of fans really disappointed the fact that Homestead is no longer the season finale. I think it's one of the best intermediate tracks you have on the NASCAR calendar. But, I mean, Phoenix is such a good race. And one thing I noticed from the Cup Series race over the weekend was just the fact that, mid-pack was some of the best battles. So watch that all race long. As you can see, the number 24 machine working to the inside. That's Grant Davis trying to make the move. Get the 9 machine, Ross Cato there getting 50, Ross Cato getting teamed up on a little bit after he picked up some spots off of the get-go. McClendon, the next driver up the road, he works his way to the inside, and now you're looking at the 25 of Brian Chambliss doing the same.
Yep, Brian Chambliss is trying to make a move there. Looks like he's going to have the move done, but he gets a little bit loose on the inside. You see, at Phoenix, it's all about trying to keep the tires from spinning underneath you. That's why it's not necessarily a bad thing to go on the outside. You saw the PJ1 there in the NASCAR Cup Xfinity Truck Series weekend just a few days ago, even yesterday, last night. So the outside line really does work around 3 and 4. Oh, there's a spinner. There's a spinner. Kyle Kammer, he keeps it. He saves it. What a job by him.
And now Durham's around as well. Steve Durham, a spinner on a turn number 4, I think, coming to the front straightaway. But a single car spin, no yellow there. We stay green as well. So it is hot, slick conditions. Over the weekend at Phoenix, it was cold and miserable. I wore shorts to the race. Bad idea. Not that that would make a difference in the sim, but this is what some of the drivers were talking about here pre-race in practice. We're talking about hot conditions, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not awful, but track temps at 102 degrees Fahrenheit. That's actually down down from the 111 that it sat at in practice. So there is little grip on this surface right now, and it's not just the cars mid-pack spinning out, but the leaders as well. I mean, sideways and whatnot. You saw the split screen there for a minute, showing that Eberhard is trying to chase down Frenage, but so far unable to put up a fight for the race lead as their Championship 4 still run 1, 2, 3, 4 on track, but it is a hot and slick Phoenix.
You in shorts is not something that I think I ever want to see or even thought about seeing before, Evan. You've put an interesting view inside my head. I always pictured you as just a dress pants kind of guy.
Yeah, we got, we can put that on the Patreon or something for the people who want more content.
Wow. Okay. How much are you accepting? $1? Does it start there?
Well, I will say, I'll just use this to turn this into a plug.
Let's talk about the Winter Series.
Exactly. There's only about 3 or 4 spots left, and granted, there are 63 drivers who competed in the Cup Series, and there's only going to be 43 spots made available for the Winter Series. But if you are interested in racing in the RSR Winter Series, go to RealSimRacing.org. Look for the Winter Series button at the top of the screen as that 10 car is into the fence again, by the way, at turn number 2. But this year, instead of an entry fee paid to RSR, all the drivers are paying an entry fee to 3 Square Food Bank to help them provide meals for families struggling during COVID-19. So we've already donated collectively through the registration fees and donations by drivers, but over 100 meals to families in need. So if you got $5, sign up for the Winter Series. If you need a picture of me in shorts to seal the deal, we'll make it happen. But there's only about 3-4 spots left for the Winter Series. It'll be right here on RaceSpotTV, so why not?
I'll tell you what, I'm not kidding. If you promise to provide a picture of you in shorts, I'll sign up right now, Evan.
I think we can make it happen.
Okay, I'll update you on that.
We'll talk on break. My people will talk to your people.
All right. Oh, caution. Caution is out. Is it the 10 again?
Oh, the 24.
The
Grant Davis in the barrels again. We saw the earlier incident with Michael Kaczynski. Is this a replay of that? Let's watch.
It's an exact replay. We'll watch it here. There was no contact, maybe a little bit of the air bubble from behind. Davis just loses it right here. So the 10 comes down a little bit. I think that might have spooked him. And bang. Well.
And stuck.
Yeah, stuck. Well, he gets out pretty easily.
Go.
Yeah. So, I wonder how much damage that's going to end up putting onto his car. Probably a lot, but it might be better that he was... oh, goodbye. You can see the hood right there, or the engine. It might have been better that he hit it from the side more than the front, I would say.
So that's 2 cars into the pit road barrels, and now lap number 26 is pit road, a little bit more of a viable option. It's open this time for race leaders. 49 says no. Eberhard also says no with a late swing to the outside.
Ooh.
He'll stay out. Sam Nieto, first car in from position 8, but looking like he may be the only car in from the top 10. Yeah, you got Kamer back in for the rear of the field. Grant Davis, obviously. He needs a new hood if they can find one in the pit area. So a couple of cars trickling down. Again, we're still shy of quarter distance, so it makes sense to hang on to your sets of tires. This isn't a factor. I mean, we talk about how the championships have changed over the years, right? Drivers just going for the full season points to adapting kind of the 10-race playoff chase to now this one-race winner-take-all. This is the first championship race in which tires are a factor, right? We didn't have tire limits on the sim prior to this year. So I think in past seasons, you come down, you get the tires whenever you want. Nobody wants to be caught short a set at the end, and maybe they'll sit on the back foot early to have that, extra set later.
And I would feel like being here instead of at Homestead, the tires are going to matter a lot more, just based on how much time you can gain through these slower corners. You're going to scrub off a lot more rubber trying to turn the wheel left. You're going to be holding the wheel a lot more to the left than you necessarily would in Miami, even though we're talking about a lesser speed corner, I guess you would say. English, obviously, is a struggle at the moment. But Phoenix, if you don't have fresh tires and you're fighting against somebody who does, It's no good. I'm interested to see how Sam Nieto's pace is. I'll keep an eye on that once we get restarted here, because that's going to, I think, make up a few minds for the drivers in front and potentially the ones who are going to be in front and then behind very quickly.
He's got a long way to go. You've got Mogard, who pitted on the previous yellow, but he opted not to go tires. So this is the first car with fresh rubber. Nieto is going to be back in position number 19 for the restart. And Grant Davis just now saying over the radio that he did kind of get spooked by Durham there, who got sideways and came down the road a little bit. I think that's what caused the 24 to cut on the wheel a little bit more. And I think when he rides the yellow line like he's doing right now under yellow, real good way to loosen up that race car. It's good if it's tight, right? Because you can get the thing to rotate. When the car is already loose as is, it's like putting that thing on black ice.
See, I'm a big fan of a loose race car, just because you know you're at the limit. If you're too tight, especially at a track like Phoenix, and especially into turns 1 and 2 here at the old configuration, it can be very difficult to actually get the speed coming out of the corner. And with the dog leg, putting another extra kink into that turning radius you need once you're getting onto the backstretch, well, that can be extremely detrimental as we're about set to go green again on lap 31.
We'll try it again as the restart due up this time by. Going to be 30 laps complete for the virtual Phoenix Raceway. Still no change up front. It's been Friedage from the get-go. Pace car down it in for the inside line. A green flag flies back underway. And again, the fight going to be for third as Eberhardt maintains P2. It's side-by-side Lariah to the inside of Jones.
A lot of backup here in the midfield, but already, as we keep seeing, Eberhardt, Friedage, the top four, they're starting to break away, but it's certainly Eberhardt and Friedage's races so far. Watching Nieto, seeing where that tire speed will come from, so far it's gained him 2 positions right on the restart. But again, they're 2 by 2 as we head into lap 32 into turn 1 and 2.
On board to the inside with David Washington, one of the drivers who got eliminated from this chase for the championship in the playoffs. Unable to get the job done in the round of 8. Needed a race win in Martinsville last week. Unable to do so. He's going to get a top 5 maybe for his Aegis Ford Mustang team. On the bottom of the one of Joseph Tice. Battle 5 and 6 as he pushes up a little bit. You're on board with the Liam Sheen. Couple of cars back in P7. Let's ride for a minute. Funny how, Dylan, not only does each driver take the dog leg different, but each guy takes it different no matter what lap he's on. There's no real consensus on, do I stay above the yellow? Do I go about a car length down? Do I go all the way down? Thomas George behind Trudell running P8 just said over the radio, it's like driving on eggs. These drivers tiptoeing around Phoenix, working lap 55 or 35, and now coming to lap 36.
Yeah, I heard him say that. I think a lot of it depends on your exit out of 2. Because you think of it this way, Evan, if you've got a great exit, you've got speed coming off the corner, you might as well just cut it, and because if you don't, well, you're going to end up not really taking advantage of the turning that you just did into that corner. However, if you kind of had a poor corner exit, it might be wise to just take it easy, go at the top, try to gain some momentum, gain some speed going into 3. Look at all the swapping going on. I'm surprised none of these drivers are tagging the rears of the cars in front, even though they're really racing just 1 by 1 by 1 by 1. It doesn't feel like that right now.
Look at that 22 machine. Just saw
Yeah.
McClendon get a little bit loose off
He
into
got
the corner.
loose. I'll tell you what, Evan, he got loose a little bit earlier, and Jared Mogard and him around 4 or 5 laps ago, they came together. It could have been another catastrophic incident. There was an apology for getting loose. It's starting to snap on all of these drivers right now.
Oh, I mean, the onboard, you can see just how much it shakes at a 4, and it's not as much of a factor sim world as it is, and that's going to be all the way sideways. What a save, and a spin up the road. That's the 9 car, and a caution for Thomas George, I think.
Well, that was the best possible angle to see that live. Don't you love when that happens? Not for the driver it happened to, but you could almost see that coming. Ooh, there was some... wow. I didn't even see the 27 car there get involved. It appears that Jeremy E. Miller in another incident. This time, I don't know. It might be another race. Oh, they were going 3 wide. He put the gas into it. You got to be a little more careful there, and you're already going. You're tiptoeing around. I'll tell you what, though, Evan. There's no question that we're going to see pit stops here. Nieto did just gain 5 positions, not too many. But still, look at how treacherous it is for everybody. So when the pit's open, like right now, you should see everyone come down. Eberhard fools. Ooh. Oh, look who does it. Okay.
Jones and Lariah stay out. It convinced some more cars to stay out also, but the majority are going to come down pit road. So it's going to be led by 1-2 on track and 1-2 in the championship. It's going to be Friedage down, followed by Eberhard. More cars joining. You got Washington, Trudell, Mogard, Sheen, McClendon, and company. But the number of cars staying out looks like, as everybody cycles through, will be the top 13 or so not coming down pit road. I think that if those 2 from behind, Jones and Lariah, didn't bail out Dylan, everybody's coming in, but it gave them some hope. You're on board with Eberhard. Going to be 4 tires and fuel for all the cars, and Friedage wins the race off pit road.
Well, here's my one worry there. It seemed like a lot of drivers were thinking about going into the pits. And if you're in the lead, like they both were, you think, oh, well, what?
What? That makes it the 3rd car into pit road, and I think that Jeremy Miller was expecting to be penalized for the incident. And I don't know if the car didn't turn or if he was not happy with the car, but...
I mean, come on.
I'm just trying to see, because the front end was missing on... Oh, so there was... So he actually hit the fence. I didn't see. When Thomas George spun, he ended up in the fence. The front of the car was already destroyed. I think it was smoking, and that is an extravagant way to go.
I can't. I should get my finger off the push to talk button right now. That was I don't. Nice. That was fun. That was fun to watch. Good job, Jeremy Miller. We love that. Great performance here. What was I even saying? I was talking strategy about the 2 leaders going into the pits. I think they wanted to have everybody else come in. Obviously, they're going to be down in the lineup. Obviously, I mean, because they're in the Championship 4, they've been running better than somebody like Sam Nieto, so maybe they do gain more than 5 positions in a number of 10, 15 laps, or 10 laps, but nonetheless, it's because the others didn't go in, this is not going to be the best situation. Obviously, once there are more pit stops, they're going to be shuffled right back into the front of the order, but they might not have the speed because they are on now a different strategy than the 2 other championship runners in Dylan Jones and Michael Lariah.
So let's see how much. It's a 40-lap advantage on tires. You got to figure we've had 3 yellows, so take about 10 laps off of that. Let's see just how fast those cars can get through the field. Friedage and Eberhard lead the group of cars who have fresh rubber. They're 12th and 13th for the restart. Everybody else up the road yet to come down for service. It includes your new race and championship leader, Dylan Jones, with Michael Lariah flanking him to the right-hand side. And once again, control car going to decide to go to the bottom. Let's see what Dylan Jones can do for the inside of the front row with a restart. 42 laps down.
looks like a really good start for Dylan Jones. Michael Lariah was not aware of the time he jumped, and that is the advantage you get as the leader. And I'll tell you what, Joseph Tias, well, he also had a very poor jump. You'd think the driver on the inside line right behind the leader, they should get the better speed than necessarily the driver on the outside. So I'm surprised he didn't get it there. We'll keep an eye on what's going on in the back. Andrew Fernandez, get this, already up to position number 9. Daniel Eberhardt into 11th. They are storming on these fresh tires.
He's already caught up to the back of Scott McLaughlin, which is apparently actually the number 2 with Sam Nieto. That's side by side into turn number 3. He'll take that spot away, now make it position 7 for Fernandez. And Eberhardt's finding his way through the field as well, basically using the 88 as a roadmap to work through traffic. But I think if Fernandez gets to the very top of the scoring pylon first, it'll be difficult for Eberhardt to get him and get around him. So the 90 might have to try to use some of this traffic to get an advantage. He'll go way down to the inside. Fernandez doesn't need it. The difference between those two car lengths as they set their sights on Bradley Burke, P4. These cars on fresh tires, absolutely flying.
Yeah, these cars are flying. You just see the speed difference. Bradley Burke he knows he's about to lose 2 positions. Oh, Eberhardt almost gets into the rear of Fernandez, and well, they're right back up front fighting for this championship lead. I think if you are Dylan Jones or Michael Lariah, you know now for next time, if there comes a situation where they could get tires, they might not, you go get tires. They're now just lame ducks up there in first and second.
And how would this affect strategy? If it plays out, we talked about cars wanting to save that set of tires for later in the race. I don't think that there's any positive for the cars not on fresh tires, unless, of course, we get a yellow, which statistically, probably going to happen. Don't think we're going to go 109 laps to the end. We've had 3 yellows in the opening 45 laps of this one. But both the 80 and the 90 lockstep with each other. Going to go to the inside to get around Lariah. And Dylan Jones going to fall from the top spot this lap. Here they come into turn number 1. Bonus points don't matter. Remember, there's no advantage to being out front for Boyd. You just have to beat the other cars. A bit of a slide for Jones. He'll fall to 3rd. Fernandez back to the top of the board. As Eberhardt wants more, he'll drive to the inside in 3, wanting to challenge for the race lead.
I'll tell you what, Dylan Jones is as loose as can be, and look at Eberhardt getting loose. I'll tell you what, turn 4, you have to transition from the apron to the track. You can barely see it. There is no markings there to tell you where that transition is, so it's almost like you're going from one flat banking like the dog leg back up to the speedway, and it's so hard to tell, especially with the speed that you are not going at. You're not going fast enough to really figure out where that jump is going to be. They have to be all careful there. And in a couple laps, Andrew Fernandez, Daniel Eberhardt, they're going to catch up to some lap cars like Steve Durham.
I'll tell you what, for all the complaints that a lot of these drivers have with the modern day cup car at the intermediate tracks where it is, glued to the racetrack, that is not the case here at Phoenix. This is the high horsepower, the low downforce package. It is a hot and slick, old, worn out racetrack, and they are working for everything up and down the running order. You can see Kyle Trudell, he's also moving into 3rd, so the longer this run goes, the worse it's going to get for Jones and Lariah. They're getting swallowed up by cars throughout the field. But again, Eberhardt keeping with the 88, looks very even. Could be, if we can see that they stay even on the long run, could be a difference in track position. It makes, look at the 90 sideways that time in the center of 4. Both these drivers working really hard. Fernandez looks maybe a little bit more planted, though.
Yeah, he might look a little bit more planted. I don't necessarily think he's the faster driver. We might see some side-by-side action down into turn 3. Lap car is going to kill Fernandez's run right there, I think. He's into the wall, and they're still side-by-side. So a good job of Durham to get out of the way. It hurt him, definitely. They're still side-by-side. Eberhardt is going to challenge for the lead. He's got the best opportunity here that he's gotten all race long.
There was a huge save for Dylan Jones. We'll try to get a look at that in just a minute, but we watched the battle for the race lead. Eberhardt cuts the dogleg. They are still nose to nose, about 9/10 of a second ahead of Kyle Trudell. Could this battle for the race lead bring the number 7 car into the conversation?
Oh, he's
no
got
advantage, inside or out, still nose to nose. In one, though, he'll have the positioning. Can he get around the 88 as he comes back to the throttle?
He's got it.
Yes, he does. New race leader. Lap 54. It's Daniel Eberhardt to the race lead.
And oh, look, a little bit down low, trying to get the nose to the inside of Eberhardt. Ferninosh is going to lose a 10th there and not going to be able to make it stick. Kyle Trudell, like you were saying, he's trying to catch himself back up into this battle. I know we're going to talk about Dylan Jones as well, but look at the pace that they have lost. Michael Araya, 7th. Dylan Jones is back in 12th place. That is what happens when you put some fresh rubber on these cars. And by the way, a little update from Jeremy E. Miller. Throttle hung, caught the barrels. Hate it for the guys.
Hate to see it as his night comes to an end, and yeah, he goes to the garage. He was parked for the incident. Here's Dylan Jones. Check this out. Sideways at a 2, and the fence
Thank
is
you,
right
dogleg.
there. What? Yeah, if it's closed dog leg, he's black flagged. If
Yellow.
there's a fence there, he's done it. A caution now. Up the road from the race leaders, it's a spinner in 1. I think that's Steve Durham. It is.
Yeah, it is Steve Durham. We'll have to see exactly what happened. He's got a lot of damage at the rear of the car. Remember, he is a lap down, gets loose, turns around on his own, and almost gets tagged from behind. Nothing else, but he had that damage from before that.
So like we said, not stuck to the racetrack. A self-spin
Right.
for Durham. His night goes from bad to
Jones
worse.
is
He'll
thankful.
drop to the back. Yeah, this is great now. We saw the same for Jones. This is now great for the cars who did not pit the last time, because I don't think your leaders just past 1/3 distance are going to want to burn their second of 3 sets of tires. So this gives the open window for everybody 10th on back, led by Lariah, to come in and get their fresh rubber this time through. Now, when those other cars drove through the field, they were 40 lap better tires. Lariah is going to lead the field down pit road, 10th on back. They're only going to be 20 lap better tires, Dylan, so not as much of an advantage. But they're definitely taking it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be enough of an advantage. You don't know how, you don't realize until you do how much rubber you actually run off of these tires in about 10 or so laps time at a track like this, until you actually run out of rubber and you're like, wow, I love this speed that I gained, but where did it go? They'll find that out, but the speed they're going to have for at least the first 10 laps, especially with drivers having 20-lap-old tires, it's going to be huge in terms of catching back up to this lead battle. Daniel Eberhardt, he's going to have the clear advantage coming out of this restart, because he's going to be able to get the jump instead of Andrew Ferninosh. So it's a little bit different of a power dynamic here, but I'll tell you what, it looks like we've got a 2-and-2 battle. It almost looks like a tag team battle between Eberhardt and Ferninosh versus Dylan Jones and Daniel, or excuse me, not Daniel Eberhardt, but Michael Lariah.
Yes, it looks. I'm just waiting for the scoring to cycle through as the pace car by the front of the field keeps the lights on. It's going to be a fight from 12th for Lariah. Jones only a step behind. Yeah, you mentioned them. So about the same distance through the field that they're going to have to do. And just talking about tire fall off, I know that we mentioned it's only 20 laps or so. Daniel Eberhardt just before the yellow ran a 27.8. That's about 7/10 of a second off of the laps that he was doing at the beginning of the run. So that's about the difference. You should be able to see those cars from the back work their way through, and this is what happens when you have a championship that comes down to not just a 4-car race, right? We're not at California Speedway or whatever it was. So, everybody else on track. So those other cars going to be causing incidents, going to be affecting the strategy, and you got to be on your toes. You got to make the right call. You can't really afford to make a misstep here. And I find it interesting that we've, kind of split up our championship 4 into 2 sets. Eberhardt, Ferninosh on the same strategy. Pretty even cars. You think maybe a slight advantage to the 90, and we'll really get to see now what Lariah and Jones can do through traffic as the lights go out.
Yeah, and remember, we're talking about the favorites. It's obviously Fernandes. 3 straight Phoenix wins, 2 straight championships, looking for 4 straight, and 3 straight in terms of the Phoenix wins and the championships. He's clearly in a league of his own, but Daniel Eberhard, I mean, how many years have we wanted to see this driver finally reach the top step of the podium at the end of the season? He's been racing since 2015. It's 6 seasons so far for him, and even though he made the Final Four once, he did not end up the victor. This is the best opportunity he will ever have in his full throttle career up to this point. Could this be the day? Under 100 laps to go once we get this race restarted. That's still a lot of time for a lot of mischief to happen.
His car going to be off it in 96 laps left still to go on the scoring pylon. Daniel Eberhard in control once more. He'll bring us to the green flag. And let's look for those cars on fresh tires. They are restarting from 11th on back. Eberhard maintains the lead. The battle for third short-lived. Trudell clearing Bogart on the inside.
I want to see a replay of that start because Tom Moreno did not get going whatsoever from the inside line. He peeled off a lot going into turn 1. Yeah, right off the restart, we'll have to catch that, but we have live pictures right now, and we're seeing, again, that gap. Eberhard is holding over Fernandes. It's pretty steady at this point. I expect it to stay this way, but Eberhard does get a little tight, and Fernandes will have a run through the dogleg. Obviously, you'll be a little bit faster if you're coming from the high line onto a straightaway, but it's not really that straight now, is it? We'll see the replay here of Moreno, and what happened here, Evan?
He just didn't get going, and I know that Tom likes to cycle himself to the back, and he tries to play the long game, right? Allowed some drivers to kind of take themselves out of it. He's not going to push the car to self-spin it. He wants to keep it clean and then make those steps from 20 to 15 or you know, whatever bracket he's going to end up in by the end of the race. So I think he may have just wanted to drop back. Nobody going to be penalized behind him for going out of line, by the way, because he went down. Everybody else held their line. We did see a restart violation, a penalty to Jeremy Miller earlier in this race. That's why he was a lap down, which eventually led to the misfortunes that put him out of this race early since then. But looking off in the back of the Donnie, that's the race leader, Daniel Eberhard, looking back to Andrew Fernandes. Fresh tires are coming, though. Michael Arias up to 6th. He wants more. Now to P5 as he gets around David Washington. You see that side-by-side out the rear. There it is. The 44 cars moving, and Dylan Jones following him through almost a mirrored image of what we saw out of Eberhard and Fernandes last restart.
And I do imagine that if we do get another yellow within the next 15 or so laps, I think that they'd all come down to try and get back onto the same strategy. You don't want to be that odd driver out once it does come down to possibly a caution in the last 20 laps. Fresh rubber is king, as we're seeing right here. And if you don't have basically the same set of rubber that a driver has in front of you that you're trying to fight in the championship, well, that's unfortunate. You don't want to take the risk of potentially not having the rubber, even though you could potentially have fresher tires left to go in this run. I think they'd want to get back on the same strategy. You
would think so, right? I mean, it depends on, I guess, what the mentality of some of the guys are in. When you talk about your championship guys specifically, did they get enough of a sample size early in this race where they're thinking, if I'm on the same strategy as Eberhard and Fernandes, I'm not going to win this race, right? If they determine that, then they're intentionally going to try to go off strategy, because there's no advantage to run in third, to run in fourth, unless you really hope that you run there, the leaders take each other out, and then maybe you pick up the pieces, right? So there is a case where it's a conscious decision. Hey, I need to get off strategy because I need to differentiate myself. Maybe that's the logic, and who knows, right? We have 2 cars in one camp, 2 cars in the other. Maybe they'll continue to splinter even more, but Mariah right now looking smart as we get closer and closer to halfway home, as he's reeling in those top 2 on the fresh tires. Again, it's taking longer than Eberhard did when he had about double the advantage on rubber, but Mariah's going to get these guys. It's a matter of when, not if, and so go to the inside of the 88 right here.
Oh, and Bradley Burke, not sure if you could see it off in the distance. He got very loose out of turn 4, almost brought out another caution. The midfield battle is just as intense as this battle, except you know what? They're all losing control of the car. It's sight to see if you're a broadcaster, but it's a heart-in-your-mouth moment if you are the driver behind the wheel of that Cup car.
Yeah, and winning out in this battle, Steve Soa, the driver of the number 75 machine, holding on to P10 with that pass. So a great run for the subpar racing car, and maybe a touch that time as he pulled down in front of Bradley Burke.
Pass for the lead.
I think Burke might have moved him. He'll go side by side. They apologize, and as you mentioned, up the road, battle for the lead. Lariah to the inside of the 90. They're parked on each other's door. And even at the disadvantage of the line, Lariah should get it here in one.
Lariah threw so much into turn 3 to try and get by Eberhard. Oh, for Ninaj Eberhard, you could literally fit maybe 1-2 pieces of paper out in the exit of turn 2. They could have touched and ended their races very poorly for both of them, at least put them out of this potential run. Oh, look at Ferdinand. He is sliding up. Oh, he tags Eberhard, and they're all good. Jones is going to say thank you very much. Their tires are horrible right now. I think we can say 40 laps is the absolute maximum you can go while being semi-confident still on the rubber.
Yeah, because we were just talking earlier that he was one of the cars that looked most stable, right? And he nearly took out the 90 while Jones was slicing to the inside. So that was a brief moment of 3 wide. With some of your championship contenders, and as Lariah is enjoying the clean air up front, Dylan Jones, who was on his bumper through most of their charge up front, just now getting his way into second. And the battle for the race lead has now been separated by 1.5 seconds. Michael Lariah looking good, a 3-time race winner with the advantage, working lap number 73.
Lariah, 22 top 10s this season. The rookie looking for his first championship in his inaugural season. Could we say, you were talking about a 4-car battle in California. Was I hearing a little bit of ka-chow in there?
That was, you got the reference, yep.
Okay, I did get that. Lariah is trying to do a little bit of Lightning McQueen here and potentially win the championship in his rookie season. A Cars reference, it's always necessary.
Yeah, here's the second look at what nearly was the end of the road right there. A bobble. That's a great job not only by Andrew to keep that car off the 90, but I think also by Dylan Jones, because he saw that, and I think he checked up. If he doesn't check up, the 88's getting run over. Frinaj's championship could come to an end. Of course, we talked about those two drivers. It was Dylan Jones leading in the final corner at Martinsville, gave Frinaj the bottom, but didn't want to pass it up. But he got loose when he got back onto the throttle. Andrew Frinaj got the win.
Look at that pack.
The last corner pass. Got to this point, that mid-pack area is about 4 seconds off of the race leaders, but they can't get more than 4 car lengths away from each other. That's Burke. Just got that spot back from Soa. You see the 75 behind. The 10 car up top of her was the last car, and there's a spin. Yeah, Soa a little bit loose as he got back onto the throttle. They are just sliding all over the place, and let me tell you, I am here for it.
I'm here for it as well. Low downforce, high horsepower. This is what we want to see. And I'll tell you what, we're not going to go 5 laps without a caution. I'll tell you that right now, because none of these drivers can handle it, and no one wants to go for a green flag stop, because if you do, you run the possibility of going a lap down and not being able to do anything about it, as it looks like a car got into the wall just ahead of Bradley Burke. Might have been, I'm not exactly sure who it was. Might be a lap car. Yes, it looks like the 30 of Michael Kuczynski that got into the walls, having to go 3 wide through everyone. Look at Bradley Burke right there, having to wheel that car into safety. There's no way all of these drivers are going to be able to hold it for another few laps. No way.
We'll see. 78 laps down, 78 laps to go this time by. I want to give a call, as this Full Throttle Cup Series all year has been powered by Boosted, the place where gamers and creators go to monetize it digitally. Their team will build you a totally free e-commerce store and help get sponsorships for those looking to build their brand online. Boosted is the #1 sponsorship platform for esports influencers. Join their team and visit boosted.club for more information, and I figure that's a good place to throw it in, because you're looking at the Boosted Ford working hard, trying trying to fight back on Andrew Friedage with the 90 machine, the driver, the target of Daniel Eberhardt up the road. And I also just wanted to say a big thanks to Boosted for being on board these cars and being a part of this 2020 RSR season.
Yeah, always a thanks to everyone who does get involved, especially when it comes to the monetary amounts that goes into each series. It's so important to keep one running. And speaking about keeping one running, how about Eberhardt finding a challenge from Andrew Friedage, but Joseph Diaz, he is right there and could take some spots away from 2 championship contenders.
Got a front row seat, talked about that maybe, Joseph Tice was going to take advantage if those battles for the race lead had stayed side by side, but he has since gotten much closer and maybe doesn't need the cars slowing themselves down for him to get up into the mix. He is a really good-looking race car. This is the same dynamic I talked about how we saw our championship for, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and how I think it's more impressive in the sim than it is in real life, because you can't just throw more money at the car in the sim knowing that it's fighting for a championship.
Just got to wheel
more time on the set, or compile notes. It's up to the driver, so it shows how impressive they've been. But so far tonight, with that pass now, Joseph Tice up the 4 has kind of been the Ryan Blaney of this race thus far, right? Kind of the highest of the non-playoff cars. He'll get Eberhardt here. And don't forget, again, Tice took the fresh tires with Jones and Lariah, so he's positioned himself correctly on strategy to make these moves.
I'm trying to pay attention a little bit to the lap times from the leaders. Michael Lariah is running around 3-4 tenths quicker than most of the field right now. So that's what's the 20 lap earlier, the 20 lap fresher tires are going for everybody here. And obviously that's going to end up in quite a distance out in front. I'm shocked that there has not been another caution. We're still green, and the laps are starting to dwindle here. By my counts, 73 to go?
Yep, 73, that time by the start-finish line. So time is running out, and it's a point that I had mentioned on the first run when it was the advantage to the 90 and the 88, and now it's an advantage to the 44 and the 11. It's not like they have an advantage now, but they're going to be on the back foot, right? It's not like, oh, well, they just got tires, and the other cars are going to have to pit one less time. If it were to stay green, timing great. Both the cars on either strategy should be able to go to the end, I would think, with just one additional stop. They would all have tires to do so, obviously, with one set left in the back pocket if it's needed down the line. So that is great news when you talk about maybe Lariah, maybe Jones, right? I mean, I think that Daniel Eberhardt is a driver who has been so close so many times, but you talk about all the championship appearances by Jones. We talked about Lariah leading the regular season points for most of this year. You shouted him out for 22 top 10s. That is a series high this season. Those two guys right now doing what they need to do to keep Andrew Friedage behind them on the back foot, and also not to ramble too much on about strategy, but, last time when Friedage and 90 machine were out front, Dylan, we got a yellow. We knew it was going to spin. Oh, it's in turn 4, and there it is, a caution.
It looks
same
like
spot on track as we've seen 2-3 others, and it was Durham again.
Yeah, Durham, nobody was hurt. Sam Nieto almost got involved in an incident. It was really just a beautiful 360, and now, the strategy talk, it's a little bit, I guess, questionable. We'll see the replay here. Just try to, if you get up high, you get up into the marbles, you have a car that's damaged, you're pulling the wheel ever so slightly more to the left, and that's kind of what you expect to have happen. So, if I'm every driver right now, I go into the pits. Even if you're on fresher tires, you cannot take a car that's going to be 40-lap old tires and feel like you're going to be okay. Because while, yes, the odds of another caution, very high, we did run close to 40 laps right there, and the laps are starting to dwindle. If you get a little bit lucky, you have a little bit less of an attrition rate right there. There's the possibility it goes green all the way, and Jones says no. He is the odd man out. He's going to be eaten up like a wild animal right now. That was not the move.
I thought this was the point where everybody was going to get back on the same strategy, right? And it kind of goes into the point that I was trying to make right before the yellow came out and cut me off. The fact that this run was now long enough that the cars that had stayed out the first time were on the advantage. The Larias and the Joneses weren't going to be worried about people undercutting them because everybody was going to pit, right? I don't know the call at the 11. However, all these cars now getting their second set of tires. They're only going to have one set to split across 70 laps. They're kind of boxed in, right? Jones is going to get destroyed on this restart. He'll go all the way to the back, but he'll have an extra set of tires. Will that benefit him? I'm not sure. Lariah wins the race off to the pit lane. He'll be followed by Daniel Eberhardt and then Joseph Tice squeezed in the middle of those championship hopefuls with Freenage behind fourth off of pit road.
I mean, we're looking at maybe half a second a lap at least of lost time that Dylan Jones is going to have on those 40-lap old tires. That is, I'm not a fan of that call whatsoever. I mean, yeah, you might have an extra set of tires, but hey, consider if it happens to the point where that works out for him, that's great. I guess he's counting on another caution and counting on himself to make his way through the field. Hey, we're talking about strategy. Now Jones is the one driver that's off of that strategy, and it could potentially work out for him. It's just a questionable one right there.
And let's take this time under the yellow flag to make a special announcement. We've been talking a little bit about the Winter Series. Happy to announce that IRAPS is coming on board to be the title sponsor of the 2021 RealSimRacing IRAPS Winter Series. So they will be the title sponsor, helping us bring coverage to you all 10 race season long here on RaceSpotTV. That championship starts in 2 weeks' time, a little bit later this month, on the 23rd for the virtual Daytona International Speedway. You can catch those races Monday nights at 9 Eastern as always, but a big thanks to iWraps for coming on board. They produce high-quality custom and virtual wraps for iRacing vehicles and also do logo design and more. So happy to unveil that here as we come to an end, and thank Boosted for being such a big part of the Cup Series this year. Happy to have iWraps coming on board and being our title partner for the Winter Series in 2021.
And I have my own personal announcement. I've signed up. I put in the $10 to charity. I will hopefully be in the 48 car if no one else has taken that yet. And you know what? I need my team Coil Race Spot Racing.
I can promise you now that we're going to bug you, and you're going to be our impromptu in-race reporter every week, and we're going to milk it.
Do you realize I would be nothing but just at the utmost of honor right there?
Okay, we'll make it happen.
And by the way, you might have some officiating to do, because Sam Nieto feels like that might have been a little bit of a fishy caution from the teammate of Daniel Eberhardt, Steve Durham, right there. Dylan Jones wants to park Durham. Oh, boy.
Well, the restart coming up. Let's see how everybody else navigates it. Green flag back in the air.
Oh, no.
Even tires is inside and outside. A little bit of a split call, but side by side for the lead. Look up top. It's Lariah under fire.
Oh, man, this is going to be horrible for Dylan Jones. It's a train wreck that you cannot take your eyes off of. He's getting swamped. Here is the difference. If we've been able to not show you, or if we haven't been able to show you the clear night and day difference between fresh tires and
Dylan Jones!
No, Dylan Jones spins, gets hit by the 9 at the end of it all. Oh no!
Wow! Just battling for the race lead. A little bit of a touch with Daniel Eberhardt, and the championship may come to an end. Let's watch the replay. Eberhardt made a big swing, cleared for the number 2 spot. Freenage was about to get third, and one of the best in this series ever. Loose, spins it into traffic, and just like that, a Full Throttle Cup goes away.
I don't think it's necessarily over for him yet. He's still going to be on the lead lap. He has the 2 sets of fresh tires that he's going to need to utilize right here. Yeah, so he just lost it. Remember I was talking earlier about that elevation that comes from getting off that apron part back onto the main track? I think that's exactly what caught him out right there. He's going down the pits. We'll see it again. Watch. So very smooth. Then a little bit coming up and tries to save it. You know what? Evan, I think he might be okay. Aerodynamically, he's going to need help.
He's going to need other cars to have problems, right? And I think that if this was a battle for a transfer spot that maybe you could rely on it. I don't think that all 3 cars up the road are going to have issues, and he's going to get the tires now, so that'll take a set off it because he knows he's already going to be hindered, and he'll actually probably enjoy more yellows, right? Because he's going to want to keep bringing that car to pit road. I think it's 99% done for Dylan Jones. He'll also claim responsibility for the incident. No shock there. He's going to be at the back anyways due to the damage. But now he's going to do the dance of getting service, getting back out, and doing that all night.
There's still time left. There is still time left, Evan. I'm not writing him off yet because we've seen Dylan Jones get through a lot, but he will have to get out of his pit stall. Like now. He's going to go a lap down, but no. He gets out just in the nick of time, and he'll do it all again. The lights are still on the pace car, and he's flying down the back straight past the dog leg. He's going to go right back into the pits. And, wow. Actually, you know what? He's not. He is past the pits. I'm telling you what, Jones is still in contention for championship here, Evan.
Doing whatever he can, right? I mean, he's not going to give up, but obviously dejected on how that goes. And we talk about it being a tricky track. It goes to show you that it's not just the mid-pack, right, that's struggling. Dylan Jones is a guy who needed a playoff waiver to be able to be eligible for a championship this year. Got a race win to get himself into the postseason, but has, significantly limited starts compared to everybody else, but still got a win, still has a pole. And we knew coming into this that he was going to have a very good opportunity to be a championship caliber driver. I don't think anybody saw that spin coming. Lights out on the pace car. 60 laps to go restart to come up. And still get sent to the back. But what a turn of fate. And now it's going to be Lariah, Eberhardt, Frenage on the same tires for second and third.
Yep, the same tires, same strategy for those 3. And, they're going to leap in front of everybody else unless a driver like Sam Nieto or David Washington has anything to say about it. We were talking about Joseph Tias. Joseph Tias, he is in the pits right now, involved in that incident with Jones. Obviously, that's going to be hurtful for his remainder of the race. Pace cars peeling off. We've got around 60 laps to go in this one.
Could it be a run to the end? Green flag flies. Back underway. No. Lariah way out in front for the start. Frenage, the non-division of Eberhardt. This was the battle between these two for much of the early parts of this race. If they fight for second, can the 44 get away? Frenage digging hard on the inside, trying to get to P2. Looks like he might get it in 3 and 4. Yes, he does. Frenage back to second.
Dylan Jones is already starting to trek a little bit up through the field and is easily within a striking distance of a few drivers right now. I'll keep an eye on that, but you see, look at that. Jones is splitting the needle, threading the needle, and just goes between 2 drivers down the middle of a 3-wide situation. Hey, listen. I know I keep saying it is not over, but look, a pass for the lead, an attempt. Will we see a change of leaders? It was Michael Lariah last time around. It's still Michael Lariah. Lap car goes way up high. That's Steve Durham again. Get out of the way, buddy. You've got 3 wide here for the lead, the championship. Who's going to win it? We've got around 55 to go, and they're 3 wide into 3 and 4. Don't come together.
Look at the 90. Didn't think he was going to be able to make that one stick. Eberhardt so low. They are still 3 wide for the race and the championship lead. Eberhardt on the inside. It's Frenage in the middle. Lariah up top, going to fall behind. And now door-to-door for the race lead between the 90 and the 88. Razor thin margins leaning on each other all night long.
Oh, there's something happening in the midfield.
Mid-pack there's 3 wide behind, but I think we're going to be okay. Clear for the race lead is Andrew Frenage. What a charge.
What a charge for the two-time-in-a-row champion, looking to make it 3 in a row. Steve Durham was the driver I was talking about. Potentially an incident with him. He had to be passed on either side. He was the one in the middle of 3 wide situations. He's way down low in the dog leg. I don't know what has to happen with him. Jared Mogard, the best out of these non-championship drivers at the front of the field. He's in 4th. Look at that. Eberhardt is right on the rear of Fernandes. He might get a better run coming out of the turn, but because Fernandes took a wider line, he's going to have the speed going into 3.
We saw earlier in this race in one of the longer green flag runs that it was Eberhardt actually able to make a pass on Fernandes once he was able to get inside positioning on him. So a half a car length difference into 1, keeping him honest. And Michael Araya, by the way, not falling back in 3rd either. Bit of a push that time. Does the 90 swing to the inside? No. Fernandes going to beat him to it. He is all over the bumper. But Daniel Eberhardt wants to bide his time. You're on board with Laraya, who sits 3rd.
They're a second faster than Dylan Jones, and Jones has clear air in front of him. So, you know what? I might very well be wrong there. That damage was a lot to Jones. He needs a lot of yellows to get back into this one, but we've got a fantastic battle between the veteran looking for his first ever championship in 6 years of racing, the rookie looking for his first, and the legend looking for his 3rd consecutive. Man, what storylines do we have here? We don't deserve this.
Fernandes and Eberhardt sit 1 and 2 in all-time wins in RSR competition. For the longest time, it was Dwayne Vincent, Chad Cole, right? Those were the names. But Fernandes at 132 career starts with 33 race wins. That is a win percentage of 25%. It's just insane for Daniel Eberhardt. He has 19 career wins and 144 starts. That is good enough for 2nd in series history. And of course, Michael Araya. You talk about his charge, 25th on the all-time wins list, but it's only in just a season and change of competition. 2020, his first full-time fight for the Full Throttle Cup in series history. So very different stories amongst these leaders.
Jared Mogard is catching up to this lead pack pretty easily right now. They're all fighting. He's saying, thank you. Please fighting. Let me get involved in this battle. We're at 50 laps to go in the final race of this season, the championship race. It's now become the championship 3 from 4 after Jones made a huge mistake, stayed out. And look at that, Eberhardt trying to slide down the inside of Fernandes. Fernandes says, no way, shuts the door on him, but he's going to waste a lot of his tires defending him right here.
Going to be so difficult, right, with just the 8 degrees of banking down at that end of the racetrack to make the inside work. They swing to the outside at a turn number 2, down to the dog leg, right up to the fence again, and now they go down to the yellow line down here in turns 3 and 4. 1-2 starting to pull just a little bit on Michael Araya. Remember, it was his race to lose until Steve Durham had to spin back to the pack that even up these cars on tires. And to go back to the conversation we had on if those cars at that time, Araya and Jones intentionally went off strategy, probably yes. If not yes, should have been by design. Because I think head-to-head, it's a race between the 88 and the 90. That's not to say that Araya can't dig on a restart, can't get lucky with the timing of a yellow, play a little bit of pit strategy, but all of these cars up front, these 3 only have 1 set of tires left. That time by 47 laps to go in the season. And a big slide by the 90 can allow the 88 to open it up, and Laraya's got an eye for 2nd.
And around 10 or so laps, Dylan Jones is going to be lapped right here if we do have straight green flag running. He was gaining at the start. He's lost positions now. He's back in the 19th. The second to last car on the lead lap. What a shame. What a sad way to see this championship battle come down for him. And if you really want to go back to Martinsville, that might be where the spooks kind of come in. It's different when you come out with a defining, I'm here and I'm ready to win this championship. Instead, on the last corner, he almost throws it away for him, and then obviously this happens here, Evan. It's just sad to see, but we still have great storylines here. Do you think Fernandez holds on to it?
I think that we're not done with restarts, right? And that's going to be the tricky part, because if it comes closer to now, right, that time by was 45 to go. If it's with 40 to go or 35 to go, if I'm Lariah, I do the opposite of the other guys, right? Even if it means I'm going to get destroyed on the next restart, I have to play the game of maybe I'm looking for another yellow closer to 10 to go, right?
Yeah,
then you get the tires, then you can come through. All of that, of course, is assuming you got a crystal ball and you know what you're looking for, right? It could also not happen. You look dumb, or you just come down, you follow them through, they start fighting, you get an opening, you win the race regardless. But it looks like that Eberhardt dropping back from the 88, I don't think that it's Fernandez is that much better. I think he just overdrove a couple of corners, right? You could see that maybe the 88 was inching away. You could see that he was starting to run out of time, needing a little bit extra. I think that Fernandez is in the catbird seat, whether this goes green or not. If it does go green, it would be an incredible finish, because it would be the longest green flag run of the night. We saw what the tires were like after 40 laps. Imagine what the tires would be like after 65.
Not good. Non-existent, I think.
Less than ideal, yes.
You can go around 75, 80 laps, I believe, on one full tank of fuel. So they'd be good on fuel. It's just, this is one of those situations where it doesn't really matter how many laps you can go on fuel as much as it matters how many laps you can deal with a terribly handling race car. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. 50 laps is the upper echelon for me, if I'm one of the drivers behind the wheel of these Cup cars. So we're looking at maybe around lap 140-ish if we're going green flag running all the way. Okay, the 36 is around. Liam Sheep.
The spin on the back, and there's your yellow. Lap 115, and now the strategy game is wide open. 36 lost it on his own. Let's watch.
Hits the wall, and I'm not sure if you heard that, Evan, but Matthew Mara, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to have some fun, I believe he said to his fellow competitors right there.
Going to be good, right? This is going to be possibly the final trip down pit road, and Liam Sheed claiming responsibility for the incident. No surprise there. You can see the onboard shot. He was counter-steering that thing for about halfway through the corner and still found himself looping it around. So that will be a spin in yellow at lap number 115. I believe that time by pit road was open, and I had hypothesized the opposite of this. I was thinking Fernandez and Eberhardt pit, Lariah stays out, hopes for a late one. Instead, this is his play. Coming down, presumably to take 4 tires. He needs this race to go green to the end to have a real good look at the championship. Let's see.
I mean, I guess he thinks the odds of that happening are better than the odds of taking on both Eberhardt and Fernandez, just one-on-one.
That is the decision. The 44 is going to take his 4 tires, so he's not trying to save 2 for later, and I think that's the right call, right? To put it bluntly, I don't know how else to say this. You don't want to half-ass the strategy this time, okay? You can go for 2, and you can save yourself something for later, but if there's a yellow, those guys are taking 4. Your left sides aren't doing anything, right? It's no good for you to save left. So he's all in. He will restart this race, although I see Sam Nieto coming down pit road this time, so a late call for the 2. That'll bump Lariah up a spot. He'll be in P12 for this restart. If we go 36, 37, whatever it is, laps to the end of the race, he should be able to drive through traffic and go to the lead. The question is, if we get a yellow, and maybe it's a question of when, because that would be pretty close to the longest green flag run right of the night that we've seen, and with the circumstances, I'm doubtful, but I agree with it, because those cars were pulling away, right? He had to do something. If the yellow comes in like 5 laps, then the cars up front pit. And even though he'll be at a disadvantage, they'll be dealing with traffic, right? And the disadvantage will be different than him catching them now. So there's so many different ways that this can play out. I'm in the camp of Matt Marr, I think you said it was. I'm ready.
Yeah, why not, right? Why not throw your dice on the table, see if you can get snake eyes right there. That's what I'm thinking if I'm Michael Lariah. He's going to be restarting. We'll see once it comes around, or we'll see on the ticker right now. Probably back in, we'll see, probably 21st or something like that. Right now he is showing as 12th, actually. I guess I missed him. So 12th is a really good position to be restarting. 21st is Kaczynski. He's 7 laps down. It's a good position to be restarting in. I'm kind of thinking along the lines of what you were saying, Evan. It's a good idea if you want to take a gamble. I don't think they're going to go green the entire way. He's got to hope that if there is a caution, it comes out in the next few laps so it doesn't hurt him down the line. But if we're 20 laps in and there's a caution, he's done. No way. No way he gets it back.
See how it shakes out. It'll be a restart with 37 laps to go at Phoenix and 37 laps to go in the 2020 Full Throttle Cup Series powered by Boosted. Fresh tires from 12th on back, but up front it's Freitas. Green flag back in the air.
Michael Lariah almost got into the rear of, it looked like Bradley Burke had to pull off. Yeah, let's go to this picture-in-picture. This will give us a great indication of what is going on. Kind of boxed in right now through the dogleg, takes his foot off the throttle, saves and preserves some of that precious rubber. I mean, right now, you just got to be careful about getting through this traffic. As you see, Burke gets a little loose, gets up high. He's going to just let him go, and diving down the inside is Lariah. There's no question he's going to get through this traffic fairly easily. Thomas George is right there. He's going a little lower, I think, than Lariah would like him to go. Oh, man. I don't know who I'd rather be right now.
Well, he needs to be careful, but he wants everybody else to be careful, right? He wants an opportunity to race this one out, but he's not the only car on fresh tires. David Washington is behind him, following him through, right? I mean, there's more than just him slicing through the field. He needs everybody to be responsible in this. As up front now, Lariah to P5. Going to set his sights on Throttle. Again, that's the onboard on the right-hand side of your screen. And I don't think Lariah cares if Washington passes him from behind. He just needs to be the highest of those championship 4. To the inside of Throttle, he'll take 4th. Mogard up next.
Yeah, so right behind Lariah, the 22 of Scott McClendon, just a lap ago through turn 1, got extremely loose, 45 degrees sideways, saved it, but we're going to see a lot of that as this race goes on. Yeah, we get that replay right there. That's scary.
Good thing Michael Lariah didn't see that, or he might have had a heart attack, right? Good thing it was behind him, so out of sight, out of mind. As Lariah now in a battle with David Washington. Remember, the 98 machine wants to win this race, prove a point, after he was knocked out of these playoffs at the end of the round of 8 last week in Martinsville, that he feels like if he could have gotten to this point, that he would have had an opportunity to fight for the championship. So for the possible race win, Washington gets around Lariah, but that's not a concern for the 44. There is no sense in fighting for the win when P2 pays out just as much. But he still needs to clear Eberhardt and Freitas. He is closing, but not as fast. I'm wondering how much of a fight those cars will put up.
Preserve the tires. That's it. You don't have to pass them yet. Preserve the tires. If there is a caution, not only will you still inherit the lead from them as he goes by Eberhardt, but you will have a better chance of fighting off any attack they may put on you. Just preserve the tires. Oh man, I've got to feel like his crew chief right now. Don't push it too hard. You're right now in the best seat to win the championship. 30 laps left. You need it to go green the rest of the way, and it is yours. But if it doesn't, you will hurt yourself the harder you push this car.
And he takes his time, and I think the advantage is he can kind of use David Washington as a Trojan horse, right? Let the 98 machine show up to the bumper of Andrew Freitas, let him open the door, and then follow him through. Here we go for the lead. Washington is closed on the back of the 88 machine. It's likely to happen this lap. The 98 going to go high. He'll try it the long way around it as he slices the bottom on the dogleg. No, Washington being very patient. Now here comes another car on fresh tires. Brian Chambliss in the 25. Equal tires with Lariah. Could get muddy here, but the 44 needs to keep big picture in mind.
You want to hear something fun? Dylan Jones is in 14th spot, and there's a lot of spots right in front. Could you imagine Jones coming back? I can't hype up something that might not happen, but he's there if something occurs. Michael Lariah looks down the inside of Andrew Ferninage. It looks like Ferninage is going to cut him off a little bit, but he has to know what's at stake here. Don't come up too much. Oh man, they almost touched, almost got into the rear quarter.
Got him.
And yep, he's in the lead.
Maybe a crossover. The 88 thinks about it, but he can only make his life so difficult. And at 27 laps to go, Michael Lariah on fresh tires has taken over the race lead and taken over the current championship lead in the fight for the Full Throttle Cup. On board with Ferninage, expecting those cars in front to set sail. Now he needs the yellow. And with 26 laps to go and a whole lot of loose and slick race cars, I think the odds in Vegas would be on his side. But who knows? Because the longest 27-second laps of Michael Lariah's career up front is, you can see Chambliss also on fresh tires, followed by Grant Davis now. All these cars, fresh rubber, trying to get around the 88.
You know, it's funny, the way I'm thinking right now, with every lap being so particular, where's Steve Durham when Daniel Earnhardt needs him? if Sam Nieto was like questioning that spin, you know, maybe Earnhardt could have used a little bit of spin gate to help him out right here.
Watch everybody, right? I mean, and for the 88 of Ferninage as well, right? Don't let these guys go. Make them work really hard. I mean, don't put yourself in a position to get wrecked, right? But make them work really hard. Maybe they get a little bit tired of you holding them up, try to push a little bit too hard. We've seen a lot of cars go around on their own and actually kind of infighting here on the same strategy, because now Chambliss is going to go back to the inside of Davis, and we'll fight side by side for positions 4 and 5. Nieto showing up in the number 2, Shell Pennzoil Ford. He joins the party also with a group of cars with fresh tires. So I'm impressed that Ferninage is keeping these cars behind him, but he's already 2 seconds off of race leader Michael Lariah. So really going to need a yellow or something to happen for the 44 car. And now Lariah, like I said, there's going to be long 27-second laps. The good news is there isn't a car for a mile out the front of that 44, so no lap traffic a concern at the moment.
Well, I don't think that would be the concern. I think he's got to be concerned of every other driver in this race to not make any brash moves, because, I mean, you think about it, this is where that odd 10th, 12th, 14th place driver will affect the championship if there is a caution in the back of the field. I don't think any of them realizes how what the situation is and how they can influence it. It's wow. There are going to be
nobody wants to be that guy, right?
Nobody does. Nobody wants to be, I think, right now in any of the championship threes positions, especially Dylan Jones, if you want to say the 4. But I don't know. I think it's very 50-50 right now on what could happen, because if it's a caution, Lariah is not winning the championship unless something miraculous happens. If there is a caution, well, then we're going to see a two-way battle again, and I'll tell you what, Dylan Jones is, again, he's almost broken into the top 10. It would be miraculous, but stranger things have happened.
And also kind of lost in all of this is, you know, Ferninage has been much better on this run. Ferninage 3rd, still holding off guys like Chambliss and Nieto, whereas Daniel Earnhardt's down in 7th. So if it would come down to those two on fresh tires, Earnhardt needs an incredible pit stop, or he's going to be from a 4th position back foot, right? Back step. And we saw last time those two went through the field, Ferninage navigated the traffic better. So, you know, the 88, kind of the catbird seat, if they have an opportunity to use that 3rd set of tires that they held on to this time by. Going to be 18 painstaking laps to go for Michael Araya. You continue to watch that battle for third on back.
Oh, very loose, very loose. Brian Chambliss right there. Oh, man. A heart-in-the-mouth moment for not just him, but Michael Araya. Thankfully, he cannot see out the back of his head or the car. Oh, man. Chambliss is so loose. He really needs to get a hold of this car right now. Now, what Michael Araya is doing...
a spin. Steve Durham just spun out of turn 2, but he saved the race car, and there is no caution. And Michael Araya did see that one because it was directly in front of him.
Durham just hit the wall.
Out of sight, out of mind. There's the second half of it right there. Steve Durham is struggling to get to the end of this race. He's already caused 2
He's 47 laps down.
Spins.
He was in the pits. I was joking when I said he should come back out. No. Hey, Evan, you're the head of this. You're the head official of this series. What are you gonna do?
Well, you can't tell anybody to park the car, right? You can't just tell somebody as long. But
of course,
he nearly just spun it again in turn 2. If I'm Steve Durham, I park it because I don't want to be that guy. But maybe some people don't mind being that guy as much as others. Listen, Steve's a big supporter of this with the Doppler Durham on the radar hard charger award. But that car is not charging much. He's sideways again. Oh God, it's a matter of time till this 10-car spins if he stays on track.
And if it happens, well, I'll tell you what, there will be some matters taken into...
Oh, he's sideways! Caution!
Are you kidding me?
Well,
I wish Thomas...
I wish we had Thomas George's audio on the broadcast. He goes, this changes everything, and we saw that one coming from a mile away.
Bradley Burke saying it's ridiculous he's still out on track. Yeah, oh, man.
Well, a lot of drivers not happy on the radio, and we followed it for the last X amount of laps. I mean, we knew it was coming.
Sam, not happy either.
Can't repeat what he just said, by the way.
No, we can't. I mean, we did get into some Francais territory earlier with, your comment about arsing it.
Well, now the decision's obvious, right? Because it's going to be everybody but Michael Araya, basically, who's going to come for fresh tires. Here comes Faridaj. The hope for Araya is that he gets a buffer, right? So how many cars didn't pit the last time? If it's a small number, right? So it's not going to be a lot of traffic that those cars are going to have to deal with. It looks like Araya, Washington, Nieto, Burke, and Morano going to stay out. Faridaj, at worst, going to be on row 4.
I'm very frustrated if I'm thinking of Michael Araya right now because Durham couldn't even make a single turn, and he was 47 laps down in the pits. What is the point of still staying out there, right? I mean, he has greatly influenced this championship. I'm rewatching the in-car cam to see the inputs. He went in way too hard. Went in way too hot into turn 1. I'm telling you, by the time that initial pit wall was gone, he wasn't even under 130 miles per hour. Well, Evan, you're the official. I see what you did. Oh, man.
And you look at the numbers, right? I mean, statistically, it was going to be somebody.
Right. And by the way, he was DQ'd as the last bit. But if you're Michael Araya, I mean, now you've got the bad spot here. But I will say, Araya did a very nice job once he was out in front. He didn't drive faster than the rest of the field. He was keeping that 1 second gap intact. I mean, this championship is not over. The good thing is that it didn't happen with around 20, 25 laps to go. The restart's going to happen with 10 laps to go here. It's not bad odds. Not bad odds for Araya at all.
And I know that it's not going to be much justice for Michael Araya, but Steve Durham has claimed responsibility for his third caution flag of the race. A third claim caution is a disqualification, so Steve Durham's night is done.
Yeah. And
needed it one earlier, right? It's the end of the longest line penalty. Normally, we don't have to talk about the penalty system much beyond that. Your second claimed caution is a one-lap penalty. That was served. And then your third is a disqualification. So Durham's night going to come to an end. And now Michael Araya faces a daunting challenge, a restart with 10 laps to go. And Andrew Friedage only 4 cars behind him. Friedage will restart 5th. Daniel Eberhardt will restart 8th. Honestly, I think the best case for the 44 here would be a quick yellow, Dylan. Get some of these 10 laps left on the board to be under yellow.
Yeah, no, that would be fantastic for him. And by the way, Dylan Jones has disconnected, so he is retired from this race. It is officially a 3-person battle for this championship. Evan, I don't know who I want to be still. I want to be us. I want to be us talking about it. Yeah, this is scary for all the drivers involved. Laraya has a few spots between him and Friedage and Eberhardt. Get ready for this restart.
Pace car off and in. The final 10 laps of 2020 from Phoenix. Green flag flies. We're back underway. Laraya a convincing lead to 1.
Crash
David Washington a spin.
Bradley Burke, who else got involved? It looks like Eberhardt and Friedage are okay.
They're clear. They both make it through. Your other 2 playoff cars are safe. But just what we said was Michael Araya needed laps under yellow. And as we take a look, it looks like, I don't know if Burke was slow or Chambliss was deep. Eberhardt got a piece of that one. But it was definitely the 25 and the 95 coming together.
I don't think Eberhardt is going to be too affected by this. We're right on board with the car. It looks like he had a little shot in on Chambliss, and maybe he pushed Chambliss, if not by physical, that just by his mere presence, the air bubble that might have been there, pushed him a little bit deep. I don't know. I feel like that's a racing incident to me, but just aggressive racing for a championship. Michael Araya, though, is in the best possible situation. I think this might be a quickie yellow, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we'll see how long it takes, and also Brian Chambliss is going to claim responsibility for the incident, so he will take the end of the longest line penalty. Not much of an incentive to have to worry about the penalty, simply because penalty points aren't really going to carry over to next year, so he's not worried about the 1-point difference between claiming it or not. But I think that's stand up, right? To know that you can kind of game the system and how the penalty system works, because it's the last race of the year. But he says, no, it's me. He'll claim responsibility. He's the one that made contact with Burke. So he'll get the end of the longest line penalty. We're probably going to be in the ballpark of 5 laps to go for the restart. Again, I still think that's enough time for Friedage to get the job done. I think Laraya needs it to get down to green-white checker territory. But honestly, if we get another restart and another yellow, that doesn't matter, right? Because if Friedage picks up 2 spots like he did last time, he'll be on the outside of the front row. So Laraya is more so not worried about his restart. He's worried about Friedage getting held up by David Washington and Sam Nieto.
Yeah, and Friedage is going to be boxed out on the outside, which is going to help Laraya even more. I think Eberhardt is going to as well. I'm trying to hear what he's saying.
I think Daniel Eberhardt's just asking the cars behind him to let him know how the back end of the car is looking for damage.
I'll tell you what, Thomas Storage needs to be in this booth for race next season. He's a joy to listen to. Certainly saying exactly what we're feeling, though, in the booth. So lights are still on. I think you're absolutely right. 5 laps to go. It looks like the restart will happen. So talk about cutting it in half. Exactly what Laraya wanted, but, I mean, oh, man. Laraya, the nerves must be incredible. I'd rather be in the position of Andrew Friedage right now, I think, because you still are right there. You've got the fresher tires. It just comes down to your own skill. For Laraya, it's not just skill, but it's also going to come down to how worn out those tires are. You have the 2-time defending champion looking for his 3rd in a row, the 3-time in a row Phoenix winner coming to this one. The cards are stacked against Michael Laraya, but he still holds the cards.
A lot of smoke on pit road. That's the heavily damaged #1 machine of Joseph Tice, who was involved in the incident. Brian Chambliss has been given the end of the longest line penalty. And here we go. A restart with 5 laps to go from Phoenix. It is old tires, some about 30-ish lap difference, closer to 25 maybe. Michael Araya, David Washington, Sam Nieto, old tires. First car freshies is Andrew Friedage trying to challenge Araya for a championship. And if those two have issues, Daniel Eberhardt next on deck with Dylan Jones having gone to the garage. Eberhardt restarting this for the outside of row #4 in position #8. The pace car is off and in. Can Michael Araya defy the odds and get a first career Full Throttle Cup green flag in the air and a huge advantage to turn 1?
What an awesome start, and it looks like Friedage is going to get an even better start. He gets right underneath David Washington. Oh, man, this is what Araya did not want to see. Daniel Eberhardt is boxed in, trying to make his way 3 wide almost, maybe 4 wide. He's trying to squeeze it down the inside. What a move from Eberhardt. Michael Araya, though, he's got his hands full. He's going to be 2 wide going to turn 1 with 4 to go. 5 to go, 4 to go, that is, in this championship race. To the inside, it's Andrew Friedage. Araya almost scrapes the wall.
Just nothing for him. The 88 clears on the bottom. New race leader, Andrew Friedage. It's going to be Araya slipping back further down the road. Daniel Eberhardt has made his way to 3rd. Now Friedage wants the opposite of what he's been pulling for the last run. 3 laps to go. He needs this one to stay green, at least to the white flag, for it to be official.
Yeah, but I don't know how likely that is. There is some absolutely tumultuous racing in the midfield right now. Everybody is getting so spread out through the dogleg, coming together very quickly. 2 laps to go at the line. Andrew Friedage, he has all the space in front of him. Araya, there's nothing he can do. Daniel Eberhardt, he's got 2 laps to potentially catch up, but he's got too much of a difference between he and Andrew Friedage. I don't think he has it in him. Half a lap until we go to the white flag. Will there be a yellow?
Eberhardt's been able to clear Araya. That was the fight for second up the road. Andrew Friedage going to look for and take the white flag. Just 1 week ago, he was 1 corner away from being eliminated. Made a last quarter pass on Dylan Jones to make it to the championship 4, and was on the back foot in this race until a late yellow set him up for tires. He'll continue to prove he's the best who's ever done it. Now a 3-time RSR champion, Friedage does it in 2020.
Unbelievable finish. They were wrecking at the line. Brian Chambliss, one of them. You've got to feel for Michael Araya, but he is the best of all time in the Full Throttle Cup Series. Andrew Friedage, his 3rd consecutive title, and this one maybe the most miraculous of all.
And you can see the drivers come to congratulate him. The first thing that Andrew Friedage said over the radio, said to Michael, "Hey man, I think you deserve that one." Michael's described the strategy that he took to try to mix things up, but at the end, the numbers don't lie. Not only all-time in RSR competition, but this season, we talked about the field closing the gap on Andrew Friedage, limiting, his dominance that we've seen over the last couple of years. But in the end, he'll still get the most race wins, the most pole positions, and the most top 5s. I know that Michael Araya deserves better, but the best car this season is the champion.
It takes more than just skill to win a championship. It takes a little bit of luck. We saw that the same exact thing happened in the Cup Series, where Chase Elliott won the final 2 races. He needed to win that final race at Martinsville to advance to the championship round. He did exactly that and won at Phoenix. The exact same situation with Andrew Friedage. But if we're talking about Friedage, he is, no matter what, the best of all time in the Full Throttle Cup Series. It's a little bit of a shame because Daniel Eberhardt, He wanted it so badly, but he wasn't able to get the job done at the very end. He was boxed out. That caution that he was involved in with 10 to go, I think that killed his chances.
It ended it, and he'll finish the celebration in the pit box. The burnouts have come and gone at Andrew Freitas, now a 3-time RealSimRacing Cup Series champion. Let's take a look at our full race results tonight for the virtual Phoenix Raceway. What a wild twist at the end. Freitas, the champion, 1 spot of difference to Daniel Eberhardt, who finishes tonight in the number 2 spot, and Michael Araya dropping down to P6.
Yep. Oh, what a shame. But Matthew Mara, good for him, as well as Ross Cato, 7th and 8th, Jared Mogard, Steve Soa. They round out your top 10, 4 and 3/10, I guess, behind the leader. And continuing down the list, you have David Washington, Grant Davis, Sam Nieto.
And Dylan Jones, you mentioned, of course, way down P20, taken out in the incident. How this race could have gone if Dylan Jones was there. Does he go in the same strategy of Laraya? Does he not? Do you have a third car in the mix? And I think that, you look back on the time into the yellow that essentially, again, we don't know that if Steve Durham doesn't crash that there isn't another yellow, right? We cannot say definitively that race ends. Can't say it was Michael Araya's championship. Statistically, over the course of the race, we would have had a yellow, right? That's what the numbers said.
But here's the other thing.
I just want to say, at least in the case of Dylan Jones, right? There's none of that I was robbed. Because Dylan Jones, It was a self-spin, right? He drove that car 110%, gave it everything he had, and at least in his own control, was it in the cards tonight.
Yeah, and I will say, though, that yellow that came out where Dylan Jones did not go into the pits, which still baffles me, that was also caused by a Steve Durham spin. Andrew Freitas, though, he is the champion. This is the replay of the wreck at the very end, Brian Chambliss. And look, the 42 says, hello, I'm coming in hot. And he beats him to the line. Some wrecked race cars. Thankfully, it costs nothing more than the $11.95 it costs to get these Cup cars on iRacing.
Well, let's start our post-race festivities that I think maybe still waiting on some of the top finishers. Not sure if we have everybody in quite yet, but we may be standing by with tonight's race winner. We'll give 2 seconds on that, but Dylan, before we talk with our top finishers, had you, the opportunity for you to join us on a lot of these Monday night broadcasts to be able to join us again and watch those 4 battle for the championship. What'd you think?
Hey, I loved it. It was some great racing. I think that to ask anybody if you didn't think that these 4 drivers deserve to be in the championship, if they said they didn't think so, I'd say you're absolutely crazy, because at the end of the day, they are the 4 best drivers in the Full Throttle Cup Series. You've got Freitas and Jones, 4 straight Final 4 appearances. Daniel Eberhardt, one of the most prolific drivers in this series history, and Michael Araya coming up ever so short of that coveted first championship. He's going to be somebody to watch in 2021. He'll be a hot shot there. But I'll tell you what, Evan, it was a joy to be able to watch everybody race their hearts out in the final race of this 2020 season.
And let's go down to Championship Victory Lane, where we are standing by with the driver of the number 88 machine. Tonight, a race winner from Phoenix Raceway, but now a 3-time Full Throttle Cup Series champion. We're talking with Andrew Freitas. Andrew, congratulations.
Thanks so much, guys. I don't care how many times they're in this Final 4. I was so nervous going into tonight. I'm still shaking right now. I can't believe it. You do so much practice throughout the year. You work so hard just to get to this point, and I can't believe it. 3 years ago we came into this league. We were lucky to get a top 10, and now we're 3-time champions. This is just insane.
There were points tonight where you were in front. There were points tonight where you were behind. Tell us about leading the laps early, Obviously, we had a kind of a split call strategy-wise early in the race. It kind of got centralized mid-race, and then Michael goes for the pit stop while you and Andrew hang on to tires for what happened to be one final opportunity to get him in charge through the field.
Yeah, just, I'm not a big fan of the tire limit. It made it fun to watch, I'm sure, for you guys, but it's frustrating in the car, 10-lap difference in tires, they're driving by you, and unfortunately that is what the race came down tonight. But, my last stop there, we went green with 60 to go. I said 30 was my number. We weren't there yet. I really feel bad for Michael, a guy who wrecked a few times and wrecked again. He really shouldn't even been out there anymore. But, thank God he did. We took the tires and we were able to pass him.
You talk about, winning these championships in this format, and we were talking about this in our bit of pre-race coverage. Most drivers would think that changing the venue for the championship from Homestead to Phoenix might provide a unique challenge for you, right? Maybe give some other driver an opportunity because of the change of scenery. But I know that you're a big fan of Phoenix, so I don't think that there were any complaints that this ended up being around 30 this year. What was that like, trying to get it done at a different racetrack than what you have done in the past, but also doing it at a place where you now extend a personal race win streak here?
Yeah, 2018 at Homestead, we were with that low downforce package, and I really like that. I don't mind any track we go to if it's with low downforce, but last year at the high downforce, kind of struggled. So, I was very, very happy to see it on the schedule. It was going to be low downforce, a driver's track, and I think you saw it tonight. The setup was loose, and everybody had to slide around a little bit, really drive the car. So I was thrilled to see it, and I really think it put on a good show for you guys as well.
We'll let you get out of here and get to the celebrating, Andrew. But I say this every time we get to talk with you guys post-race. There is no RSR Cup Series without all of you, so I really appreciate you and everybody else for racing with us on Monday nights. And you continue to give everybody an objective, right? Last year, they wanted to knock you off. You get a 2-time championship. This year, they wanted to make sure to prevent a three-peat. Now a 3-time RSR champion, the winningest driver of all time in this series. I think you're only making drivers hungrier. We saw that the competition that they brought to the field this year was a step up from that of series past, and I think that 2021 will be no different. So thank you for continuing to elevate the level of competition in this, and congratulations one more time.
Thanks so much. I do just want to say thanks to you guys. You say we make the league, but I think it's you. You guys put up so much work. You do the broadcast. You got to and so thank you for all you do, especially with the truck series there. You do the IROC series. I know I'm forgetting one, but all the work you guys do. Thank you so much.
Your season champion for 2020, Full Throttle Cup champ and race winner from Phoenix, Andrew Freenage. Andrew, have a good one.
You too, guys.
Flip side. And it seems silly to say it, Dylan, because P2, but it was a really distant P2, right? Daniel Eberhardt was in the thick of things so often tonight, but just seemed to be a little bit off at the end of this race. Charged his way to second. You're talking with the driver of the 90.
Yes, we are talking with Daniel Eberhardt. Daniel, I know it feels bittersweet right now, but what's going through your head?
Cautions, man. Yellow flags coming out at the wrong time. You're just a sitting duck with the tire limit and everything else. And that first caution that happened where we all pitted, me and Andrew pitted, and Lariah and John stayed out. It just put a loop in everything and kind of messed everything up. And then you wanted cautions when you didn't, when they weren't happening. So it's just tough. It's tough, man.
Obviously, that caution with 10 to go that you were briefly involved in, what happened from your point of view?
I guess I could say that I felt like the 95 Park Center real bad, but I mean, he's slow every week, so it doesn't matter. That's the way I look at it, and I mean, I don't know. There's just so much you could say. Steve Durham's out there running, wrecking everything, so I have no clue. It's just not the way a type of season I wanted to come down to an end, and not this track. This track is just does not fit my driving style whatsoever, and I had to drive my tail off, pouring sweat. So I don't know. I just got a lot to say and just don't want to blurt it.
I think both Evan and I completely understand that. We saw what was happening in the chat, so we get that for sure between everybody. But I guess it was on that final restart, maybe past turn 1 and turn 2. Andrew Fernandes starts from the outside, gets a good run, and already is fighting for the lead at the second part of that restart, that lap that restart happened on. And it just seemed like you were boxed in. Was there anything more you felt like you could have done, because you were taking it 3 wide at times?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I was being aggressive. You have to. I mean, you got to. You got to get us. Going to get there. He's going to be gone, and there's no coming back. There was no reeling him in. But 24 didn't get going on that very last restart, and I pushed him a little bit, and then I shot down through the dog leg out of turn 1 and 2, and man, if they would, I'm telling you, if this track would have been updated to be, you know, the track it is today, where the finish line's coming out of turn 1 and 2 right now, man, it would be so much better racing. I mean, the 24 wouldn't have had a chance with no hood in front of me. I mean, it's like, come on, just couldn't we have that? But no, all in all, what a season. You know, what is it, 32 races, and we won 6 of them. So we fought hard. We gave Andrew hell the whole time. I mean, there's nothing else you could ask for.
One of the all-time greats in the Full Throttle Cup Series. Still looking for that first title, but it's got to come sometime, right? 2 Final Four appearances for the SK Sim Racing Ford Mustang. Anybody you'd like to thank for this season? I know, Daniel, that, again, it's a bittersweet ending, but it is one you can look at and be proud of.
Yeah, I gotta thank all my teammates, and especially Sean Kalis. Man, he's been a good help sponsoring me and putting, you know, the stickers on my ride and everything like that. So SK Sim Racing for sure. Just everybody who hangs out each and every week, and you guys for putting this series on. I mean, heck, Evan's put a lot of effort in this series and done a great job with it, and I believe it's going to get even better. Boosted Club for coming on and sponsoring the series and putting up the money and everything for the guys for the championship. And got to thank my fiance who watches each and every race, and my grandmother who watches each and every race, and also had other family that was watching tonight, and I was thankful for them watching, and I was trying to put on a show for everybody, and I hope all the fans who tuned in and watched it each and every week, that they got what they wanted. And just sorry if I let anybody else down out there, but we'll come back and get them next time.
Well, again, Daniel Eberhardt finishing second in the championship race. Great season once again. Thank you so much. And hey, I know it's a saying, but there is always next year. And if it's anything like this season, you're going to be challenging for the championship. Thanks so much, Daniel.
Thank you.
All right, so with Daniel Eberhardt being the number 2 driver in the championship, we move to the another driver in Kyle Kammer, it appears that we've got in here. Kyle, you finished in 3rd place. You weren't part of that championship battle, but you had a pretty good view of it all unfolding at the end there.
Yeah, the Box Crush Chevy was all over the place tonight, and finishing 3rd feels like stealing. It was the end. You know, I just the tire strategy made it you know, an unfair advantage, and you know, there was nothing that the 44 could do there. I mean, with the difference in the tires, and you just feel bad for him that that they didn't get to battle it out on even tires. But that is racing, and that's the way you know, NASCAR has it set up now.
Well, you guys did have that low downforce, high horsepower configuration, and about what lap do you feel like the tires just let go?
Depended on how you drove it. The first run, I was an idiot and I was overdriving entry, and I spent more time saving it than I did actually driving it. Once you know, really slowed down your entry, it was all about, you know, throttle control after that. And you know, if you were babying it and taking care of it on the long run, it paid off for you.
So another pretty good season for you, all things considered. Going into next year, what could potentially be something maybe you feel like from this season that you could work on a little bit? Obviously, everyone looks at that, even drivers such as Andrew Ferdinand. But for you, where were the strengths? Where were the weaknesses? What can you improve on in 21?
Yeah, I had 4 top 5s in the last 7 races there. That one was pretty, lucky with the way the tire strategies and everything worked out. But 4 top 5s in the last 7, and I got my first win this year at the Daytona Road Course, and so I think, with NASCAR changing the schedule and adding more road courses next year, I think that potentially gives me more chances, to get wins and locked in to the playoffs. So I'm looking forward to that. The full throttle schedule follows, NASCAR pretty much to a T. So hopefully we pick up those extra tracks, and I've just got to continue to get more consistent. I'm pretty fast for about a lap and a half, and then I fall apart. So if I could just follow Andrew around maybe for 1,000 laps, I could figure it out.
Maybe put another 0 at the end of that one, and then you put me involved there. Andrew is bad fast, but hey, you came in 3rd. You got on the podium in this race. Kyle, is there anyone you want to thank for this season and going into next year?
Yeah, just thanks to you guys, Evan in particular, to putting on the league every week. It's really enjoyable to come out here and run every Monday night. Congrats to Andrew on the championship, 3 in a row. I mean, he earned it again, and no one practices as hard as that kid does, so he deserves it for sure. And just my sponsors, Box Crush, Interstate Batteries, All Battery Center in Concord, North Carolina, Sandusky, Ohio, and RSR.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. Congrats on a great end to the season, and you're absolutely right. Evan does a fantastic job with this series, and I know he'll have a big grin whenever he hears that from any of the drivers. Right, Evan?
But it's I keep saying it, right? There's no racing on Monday nights without the guys, but certainly we do try to put in a lot of time to make it good, not only for what everybody sees here on Mondays on RaceSpotTV and what we'll see over the course of the winter, but even the other stuff, the Joe Blow stuff that I run in, right? Like the trucks and the IROC. Give myself an opportunity to enjoy some time on track as well. And we'll keep the post-race interviews rolling as we bring the driver of the number 44 machine up and into the broadcast booth. It was about 12 laps away from being a possible race win at a title. Instead, it ends up being a P6 tonight. We're talking with Michael Araya. Michael, I'll just let you give your thoughts on what was a great car, a great run, a great end to what was a great season, but just, one yellow flag short.
First off, I got to start by saying it's been a pleasure racing the guys in the championship for Daniel and Dylan and Andrew. Daniel and Andrew I've been battling with all year, and I have a lot of respect for those guys and how they race. Andrew, he's just freaking clutch. He's so good on the long runs. He's one of the best guys I've raced against. And Daniel, I really appreciate his style of racing. He races you hard, but man, he races you clean, and he's got really good car control. So I got to give a shout out to those guys because they've made the season really fun for me. But going to the race, I can't say I'm not disappointed, but at the same time, I felt like I executed as good as I could. I was right there with them. I felt like later on towards the end of the race that once Andrew got by me, it was going to be hard to get back by him. And if I had to battle Daniel there, I was just going to lose time to Andrew. So when that caution came out, I'm like, you know what? Now's my chance. I got to shake it up on strategy. It worked at Kansas. It might work here. And I know the outcome wasn't there for me at the end of this race, but man, it almost was. And looking back, I'm so happy that I took that gamble because it almost paid off. So I'm disappointed, but looking back at this whole race, I did everything I could in my power. So that's all you can ask for.
And I'll say also, you know, guys like Andrew, you know, didn't come in and win championships in his first year, right? Took a couple of years for him to get that experience. A guy like Daniel, guys like Dylan, who have been going at it for so many years. For you to be able to come in, and you talk about having battled with these guys all year, guys that you weren't acclimated with, right? Really until we got racing, for you to make a full campaign in the Full Throttle Cup. What was that like? Trying to kind of build maybe a reputation, if you would, you know, for the other drivers to kind of know what they can expect out of you, for them to kind of realize that, hey, this guy's for real, and kind of how that grew over the course of this 30 race season.
Yeah, well, coming into a new league, obviously you're starting from scratch. When you come into a new setting, just learning the field and learning the style of each driver is incredibly important. But the nice thing about being in a league is it allows you over time to learn the styles of the drivers that you're against week in and week out. So with Andrew and Daniel there, I quickly learned that those two, they're definitely going to be the ones I got to beat. And sure enough, it did come down to that. But again, it's also it's just a pleasure knowing that you can race hard against certain people and they have the car control to do it, and they're going to be clean about it. So looking back at this season overall, though, I mean, it's awesome to even be in this conversation, being in the Final Four to battle for a championship first go around, and just to get a few wins this year too. That's never a guarantee. You just never know. So I feel like moving forward to next year, just taking what I've learned this year, I just want to get a couple more wins. I want to build off what I've done this season. I feel like I really do have great speed, but I just need a little bit more overall, I think, to battle more consistently with those guys. But I feel like I'm not too far off, and I feel like I can compete for another championship next year.
And you kind of beat me to the punch. Are we going to see you back to fight for the Full Throttle Cup in 2021? Maybe an opportunity to fight for a Winter Series championship?
Yeah. So for that's the plan. I plan on being back next year with my teammates. I'm kicking around the Winter Series. I'm leaning towards doing it. I know I gotta sign up quickly here. But
I know a guy if you need a spot.
Okay, excellent. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to being back next year and trying to repeat.
I'll tell you what, it's been a pleasure, Michael, to have you join us here on Monday nights. Next year is going to be our 10th year of doing RSR Full Throttle Cup Series racing on Monday nights. And, I think that the league could definitely benefit by having more guys like you. So thank you for being a part of it on Monday. I know it can only mean so much because I know you wanted more, but congratulations on a third place in the championship. And we'll see you next time out on Mondays.
All right, Evan, I really appreciate it. I got to give it a shout out to you and your whole crew for putting on these broadcasts. So thanks again.
That is your P6 finisher tonight in the race, P3 finisher in the championship, Michael Laraya. We talked with all your playoff guys, but Dylan Jones, as we mentioned, who wrecked out of this race earlier, finishes 20th in the race and 4th in the points. And just like that, another year of Full Throttle Cup Series racing is down, as Andrew Friedage is now a 3-time series champion. And I just mentioned it to Michael there, next year is going to be the 10th year that we've run this Full Throttle Cup Series. I haven't been a part of it for all of it. I think you got to look back to like 2013 when I wasn't in control of any admin stuff and I was just doing pit road stuff for broadcasts, and it's changed quite a lot over the years, right? But Andrew, it was a new name a couple of years ago. He's now a vet, right? Is Michael Laraya going to be the vet in 3 years? I mean, it's so cool to see how this series has come, Dylan. Happy that you've been able to join us for some of these Mondays, and the biggest of congratulations to a 3-time series champ and Andrew Friedage. It's crazy.
Most importantly, he's a 4 consecutive Phoenix winner. I think that's what's most important here. But yes, it was a great finish to the season as well. I mean, we could tell Andrew Fernandez was he was sweating. He was excited, probably more so than maybe any of the other championships. He really had to work for this one, and he got the job done. You feel for Daniel Eberhardt. You really feel for Michael Laraya. And if you want to keep that Lightning McQueen reference going on here, he might have lost the championship, and he finished in 3rd in the championship, but he won our hearts.
Well, and I was just looking at stats, by the way, so not to put the Cup Series in our rearview mirror too fast. We'll be talking about the Winter Series coming up, and we gave a logo unveil earlier tonight. IRAP's going to be coming on board, and that coverage is going to be here on RaceSpot all winter long for 10 weeks. It starts in 2 Mondays at Daytona International Speedway.
Does it?
There's a guy named Andrew Fernandez, who is a 2-time defending Icebreaker Winter Series champion as well. So same storylines, right? And it's a different ball game. We're going to be in the Xfinity Series cars. You're going to have not all the guys that ran Cup. It's going to be closer to, like, I think a 60-40 split. 40% of the drivers who run Winter either are guys that run Winter always, only run Winter, or new faces that come into the RSR stable. So the target only gets bigger on his back, right? He wants total domination over everything RSR-wise, and that's going to be a real fun championship. So I don't have to sulk over not having racing on Mondays for too long. It's only one Monday. We're back on the 23rd.
Right, and I'm not going to miss any of the broadcast because I'm going to be in the race. I'm telling you.
So we will hold you to it if you're causing wrecks. We will hold your foot to the fire,
okay.
I promise.
I'm dead serious, and I'm going to say it on air. I will be your Clint Boyer. Okay. I will be your Clint Boyer.
I told you that we're going to have you on the mic, so you're committed to it now.
I commit. I commit to it, and I will definitely be like Clint Boyer in iRacing, if you remember what Clint Boyer was like in iRacing.
It was very impressive performance. So
right.
Look forward to seeing that.
I got to make the car now. I don't even know. I've never been in a league before, so
that's why I joke that I run the trucks and the IROC stuff, right? Because the Joe Blow series of RSR, and just to preview that Icebreaker schedule. So 10 race championship. There's no playoffs. 10 weeks. Guy at the most points at the end of it all is the champion. It'll start at Daytona. We're going to go racing at Richmond, Michigan. We're going to go to Montreal for the first road race of the year at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We're going to go to the Iowa Speedway, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, a short track at Lucas Oil Raceway, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course, trip to Talladega, and then a season finale under the lights at my backyard at the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So that's going to be a ton of fun. There's going to be more stuff as well alongside that. So like I said, if you're tuning in, you want to come race, as long as you have a Class B iRacing license, you will be eligible without needing a review or anything to be allowed in. So you're good to go, no questions asked. You'll get into the Monday night series. And we still haven't exactly hammered out what we're racing on Wednesdays, but it's likely going to be at least 5 races with the 87 stock cars. So we'll have more info on that on the RSR social channel. So make sure you're following RealSimRacing on Twitter and on Facebook. And Cup Series news, believe it or not, will be coming in a couple of weeks. So that kind of wraps up our 2020 season. Dylan, I'll give you one last chance to get a couple words in.
Great season. I'm thrilled that I was able to be a part of a good chunk of broadcasts. It just so happened that today I was going to be able to be a part of this broadcast. So appreciate everything, obviously, you do, Evan. I'll add on to that. Congratulations. I'll give you some more pats on the back that you'll need to get a bit of ice on there. Yep.
Right.
Keep it coming.
Don't. It's not necessary. No.
But Hugo Luis, also our producer, hardest working guy in sim racing that I know, which isn't much, but I presume it's one.
I agree. So you got my backing on that. Official endorsement.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Hugo, our producer, does an awesome job as our chief, and definitely appreciate all the work he does too. So thanks.
There was a lot of questions, I'll say, coming into this 2020 season. It was great to pick up, Hugo and RaceSpot as a partner to air these things. Happy that I can continue to run the stuff behind the scenes at RSR and also be a part of the coverage on Mondays. So the biggest of thanks one final time for everybody who's been on the air with us all year long,
Justin
Tonight,
Prince.
specifically Justin Prince, all the other people who filled in. We had our junior Kankipati jump on for a couple of weeks, so shout out to our junior who's super busy with all the RaceSpot stuff. We'll give a call to Dylan Coyle, myself, Evan Pasoko. Thank you so much for tuning in, and congratulations to all of our RealSimRacing champions this year. To our RealSimRacing IROC Series champion, Kyle Trudell, to our RealSimRacing Outlaw Truck Series champion, Sean Kalist, and the biggest of congratulations to all, to the 3-time RealSimRacing Cup Series champion, Andrew Friedage. He gets it done in 2020. That's it for us for now, but we will see you in 2 weeks' time for the start of the 2021 RealSimRacing IRAPS Winter Series. We'll catch you then in Daytona. Good night.